is our last session of the day. The session is on mentoring programs and successful strategies for starting, sustaining, and evaluating a mentoring program. So just like all the seminars today, unless otherwise noted, no statement in the seminar should be construed as an official position of any federal agency. I'm going to start off with an introduction to the speakers, and then we're going to jump right into the panel discussion on successful strategies for starting, sustaining, and evaluating a mentor program. So start off with a poll. Gabby, if you could open the first poll. Have you ever, and please check all that apply, participated in a formal mentoring program as a mentee, served in a formal mentoring program as a mentor, started a formal mentoring program, currently considering starting a formal mentoring program, or have managed a formal mentoring program? So thanks everyone for participating. We look like we have a lot of people that have served as or participated as a mentee in a formal program. We've got almost 70% of attendees, which is pretty amazing. As far as serving as a mentor, we have almost 40%. Starting a formal mentoring program, we have 19%. Considering or currently considering starting a formal mentoring program is 30%. And managing a formal mentoring program, we have 16%. So thanks everyone, that's great. A wide mix and a lot of experience here. So welcome all to this session. So we're going to go through 5 different mentoring examples. Each one is going to provide a short description of their program, and then we're going to launch into a panel discussion that'll go through things about their successful strategies and lessons learned. So the 5 programs here, we have a new program example, which is the User Experience Community Practice Mentorship Program. There's an established program example that's agency focused, the EPA Leaders and Learners Program. There's a cross-agency skill-focused program, the Statistical Mentoring Program, a matching process example, the State Department iMentor Program, a recruitment example as well. We're going to hear again about USA Jobs Open Opportunities. So starting off with the first introduction, the new program example, the User Experience Community of Practice. So we have Natalie Buda Smith, the Chief of Design at the Library of Congress, and Beth Martin, the UX Lead at FAA. I'll turn it over to you both to give your introduction to the program.
Natalie, do you want to go first?
Sure thing. Yeah, we want to talk about how we started and where we're at. So we're a professional community. So the User Experience Community Practice is a professional community of user experience designers and affiliated careers across the nation. And our group includes federal, state, and local government employees. So we have quite a mix. And we do try to, we seriously consider that in the matching of mentor to mentee. We started out as a pilot program and had decided to limit participation so that we can learn and get feedback before we increased in size. We typically have many different agencies, localities, state governments that participate. This year we had 43 different ones, which was quite wonderful. And it's all volunteer. I wanted to highlight that. So we have a really great community of program team that actually supports the program throughout the session, throughout the year, and ongoing. Also, I wanted to talk about our origin. So we started because we do have a listserv, a community practice, to talk about anything related to user experience design. And our main leader of that community practice, Jean Fox, saw some chatter and a pattern in the communication that many of the members were looking for a mentorship program. And so we responded. Beth, do you want to continue?
You can find our community of practice on DigitalGov along with many others. We just really banded together in a very short period of time. We were able to develop the application, and we were able to do the matching and have a very successful program, as Natalie mentioned, that we expanded to the 6-month program. And we have just kicked off that cohort just in the last couple of weeks.
So wanted to mention that we start with a new batch every session. There are some that have continued and started as a mentee and then moved on to a mentor, but it's a whole new batch for us. And it is a one-on-one program. So it's really driven by the number of mentors that apply, of how many mentees we can actually match up and can participate in the program. So it will be one of our challenges is to keep the mentors engaged and to find new mentors.
Right, and we also look to learn from the past experience. That's one reason why we did the pilot, just to see if we would be able to scale up, and we were able to. So after we did our evaluation and we shared the results and received feedback, we have added more activities and events, some just for mentors, some just for mentees, and also group sessions. We've had our first lunch bunch, or I'm sorry, office hours, and we'll be having another office hour for the mentees to look forward to in the next week or so.
Thank you so much, Natalie and Beth. And I see some questions coming in, and those questions will actually be addressed during our panel discussion. So our next program example is an established program example. It's been around for a while, the EPA Leaders and Learners Mentoring Program. We have 4 folks that are coming in from that program. We have Brian Twillman, the training coordinator, OD specialist at EPA, and he and John Reynolds are the co-founders of the EPA Leaders and Learners Mentoring Program. John Reynolds is also the OECA, LLMP PC, and a core as well in EPA. We have Lindsey Johnson coming in as an HR specialist, and Will Harnisch as a program analyst. So they're all coming in to get the program today, and Brian's going to give a quick summary of the EPA program for you all. Brian, you need to unmute yourself, sorry.
The program, hello, Kim and everybody else. I'm really excited about talking about EPA's Leaders and Learners Mentoring Program. It started, 10, 12 years ago in 2009, 2010, and we have become the largest formal mentoring program in the agency by far. We have over 200 current formal partnerships across the agency in 10 of 12 headquarters offices, 6 of 10 regional offices. We started out in EPA dabbling with mentoring programs in 1995. Each office sort of did its own thing. And then we realized, John Reynolds and I realized that we needed to come together to be more efficient and have more effective programs and to have people interact with one another from across the agency. So the administrator at the time also had an extensive One EPA initiative where he wanted to kind of break down the silos we have in the headquarters offices, Office of Air, Office of Water, Office of this, Office of that, and the regional offices. We have the 10 regional offices, very different cultures in each one. So the One EPA initiative stuck with John and I, and we became rather motivated to create the program and to manage the program so that it would be successful over time. We wanted everybody who wanted to participate as a mentee to apply. They needed to be part-time and full-time career employees at all grade levels. Initially, when I looked into mentoring programs in the mid-90s, their only mentoring programs across the federal government were really for GS-15s who wanted to become SESers. There were not any formal mentoring programs for everybody at all levels of the organization. So we made a commitment to include everybody, to have a highly inclusive program. As for mentors, we prefer GS-13s or higher. We've had some that have been lower than GS-13s for specific reasons. Most are supervisors. I wouldn't say all are supervisors and senior leaders. Probably a third of our mentors are supervisors. That's going to increase because the First Line Advisory Group, which is the representative group of all the 1,500 supervisors in the agency, first line supervisors, they have recently endorsed our program, saying that all GS-14s, 15s, and SESers should participate in the mentoring program as part of the agency's diversity and inclusion initiative. So we're very excited about that. We expect more people will come in. And we also note that there is a benefit to supervisors who participate as mentees. they actually get more better improvement of performance, better performance improvement from their other direct reports if they learn successfully how to mentor and advise others, support others. It's a simple process for a mentee or mentor to get involved. They get their supervisor approval, basically emphasize that mentees get their supervisor approval. We want mentors too, and we presume that they will, but we don't hold them to it. Online applications are simple for mentees and mentors. We ask them to look at the 40 competencies that we've come up with in 4 theme areas: navigating the organization, building skills and competencies, expanding your professional network, learning more about the written and unwritten rules. So we, and then of the 40 competencies that are listed for both mentees and mentors, each mentee, each mentor identifies 12 competencies they want to either develop or they want to contribute. And that plays into the factoring of how we bring people together is through the matching process. The online applications allow the online tool, the Mentoring Connection, which I first heard about in 2008 as OPM had a manual on best practices in mentoring and mentioned the Training Connection and the Mentoring Connection, the online tool. So they are matched based on the competencies: 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star. So that begins the matching process, and it makes it very easy for people to proceed successfully throughout the program. We have a way of annually recruiting and marketing the program. We all have senior champions in our respective organizations. We have program coordinators, and we send out a similar memo to everybody so that they can understand and follow the timeline for how to proceed in terms of participating in the program. Duration is 9 months. It used to be 1 year, but the last 3 rounds were in the 8th round since 2009, 2010. So there were some periods of time that we had gaps between this round and that round. But now we're into a pattern of starting the program every September, wrapping it up every June or July. So it's in essence a 9-month program that gives the mentors a chance to kind of catch some breath, get some rejuvenate their energies, and get ready to participate again. We have a variety of formal training sessions, classroom sessions, webinars, webcasts. All of our sessions are recorded. So 24/7 things are available to both the mentees and mentors. So we have a winning formula. We've been called the best run career development program in the agency. Senior leaders have really highly supported our program and think very good things about the program. And we have a proven record of success. We do a lot of evaluations, and then we'll go into that in more detail. John will talk about focus and budget and components, and then we'll have Will and Lindsey say some words towards the end. John?
Hi, I'm John Reynolds, co-creator of the LLMP. And actually, all of the things Brian said, one of the greatest things about us coming together, mentoring in a collaborative manner, is we're able to provide this 9-month program for $470 per participant. And that includes all training materials, all webinars, all training seminars. And that is very cost effective for us. And it's worked very well. I think for the first 9 years, it was $370. And in the 10th year, the vendor went through GSA and had to up their prices. So we went to $470, but it is very affordable, and we get this bang for our buck. So Lindsey or Will?
And just 1 minute, quick to, and then we'll move on to the next one. So we're a little behind schedule. Thank you.
Lindsey has to unmute.
I was going to say something and then I hesitated because I know we're behind. Just want to add at this point that the program at EPA has been incredibly valuable for me as both a mentee and now as a mentor. And I've had nothing but support from my management and others at the agency. So it has been an extremely valuable program. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Will Harnisch. I have been participating in the program for 5 years as a coordinator and also have been a mentee. I've learned a lot from the program as far as being a mentee, particularly, especially from the networking standpoint. And as far as coordinator, I've noticed the program improves every year, especially with the recruitment of mentors, and the endorsements from the supervisors has improved every year. Also, the retention rate of individuals who participate in the program is higher. Even if they end up leaving their office, they tend to be more likely to be retained in the agency itself.
Great, thank you so much. So our next example is a cross-agency skill focus example, the Interagency Council on Statistical Policy Mentoring Program. So Laniera Jones, you just heard from her. She's going to speak again about this program.
Thanks, Kim. The Interagency Council on Statistical Policy, or ICSP, is chaired by the Chief Statistician of the United States. It enables OMB to obtain more direct participation from agencies in planning and coordinating federal statistical activities. At a retreat in the spring of 2014, the members of ICSP discussed the creation of a cross-agency mentoring program with a focus on mission-critical occupations across all agencies. After the retreat, 7 of the 13 at that time statistical agencies named points of contact and a work group of staff from the participating agencies to begin the development of the program. The launch of the pilot mentoring program in 2015 was a major step towards the realization of the council's vision. The success of the pilot program encouraged the continuation of this interagency effort. We operate with no budget and rely heavily on the agency appointed work group members for our planning, resources, and marketing. We are able to broaden the participants' view of the larger federal statistical system and exposure to top-level leadership. Our mentees are GS 12 to 13 and mentors are GS 14 or higher. This 7-month program provides bi-monthly professional development opportunities like Clifton Strengths leadership panels and agency field trips like participating in cognitive lab overviews to learn more about the participating agencies. The council was expanded from its original 13 agency leads to its current 26 members through the Foundations for Evidence-Based Policymaking Act of 2018. The department's CFO statistical officials are the agency representatives for agencies outside of the original 13 participating statistical agencies.
Great, I just wanted to check to make sure folks can see the slide and make sure everyone can see it's slide 18 that we're on currently right now. Thank you, Laniera. Okay, great. So our next example is a matching example. It's a State Department iMentor program. And Maureen Whitsett is here as an HR specialist from the State Department. She's been at the State Department for 18 years and managed the mentoring program since 2014 and co-managed the past 4 months. She's had a great success rate in matching mentors and mentees. Thanks so much, Maureen.
Thank you, Kim. So the State Department mentorship was created for career development, and it's been in operation for approximately 20 years. It's for State Department only employees, and the program again is to foster participants' development and professional growth. Civil service employees at all grade levels can apply, the mentees, and then the mentors, mid-level and above, civil service and foreign service employees can apply. The sign up is via online application, and we just started this year open rolling enrollment. And with that process, we've had a 50% increase in mentors during this year's first quarter with well over 115 matches. The State Department has great buy-in from senior leaders, and our 4 components is we have a call for applications. We review those applications, and by the way, each application is read in detail for that matching process. We match those applicants and we send those match letters out. And after that last component is to post-schedule events. And on the next slide, the matching process, we do use a SharePoint site to match civil service mentors and mentees. And we use foreign service mentors only in the process. We receive those applications in the SharePoint site and they are saved automatically. We use a 2-level grade level in our matching. GS11, for example, is matched with GS13s, and that's for traditional and situational relationships. And inside the match letters, the names you see there are contained along with the phone numbers and email addresses with next steps for the mentoring process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Maureen. And now we're going to turn it over to Lisa Nelson, and she's going to be talking to us about open opportunities. We heard about this earlier from Keenan Emmett, and now Lisa Nelson, the USA Jobs Engagement Manager at OPM, is going to give us another introduction to open opportunities. Lisa?
Thanks, Kim. Glad to be here. Open Opportunities is, as you probably heard, I assume most of you were on, is a component of USA Jobs that allows federal employees to host opportunities for temporary experiential learning. What I want to say is we are a little bit different in that we are cross-agency and we're not a formal program. We've had hundreds of people participate, but we've had less probably in the terms of what you would consider mentoring opportunities. And I'll give you an example. We had someone who was in the Department of Energy, and they were had to write a contract up about something in their organization that they didn't have quite enough experience in. So they posted an open opportunity where they were looking for someone who had experience in that the type of tool they were interested in using. And they looked for somebody that could help mentor them, work through with them what they would need to be asking for from a contractor when they were writing up their information to put out. That's a really informal, that's kind of an as needed type of event. It's not something that you're planning for, you know, a long-term weekly 9-month program. And again, you don't have to keep it within your agency. It's any type of experiential learning opportunity. And, you know, we define that very broadly. We have other types of mentoring programs that have, not programs, but opportunities that have been posted on the platform. The requirements are really very, very lightweight. If you're a federal employee, all you need to do to post an opportunity for someone to mentor or work with you, all you have to do is have that supervisor's approval. You will be asked when you post your opportunity to check that off on the platform itself, and that is the only paperwork in quotes, that you need. You can search for those types of opportunities on the homepage. They search across agencies, and there's a great search capability. We have Elasticsearch. And we're always looking for this mentors who can host the opportunities as well. And again, all you need are your supervisor's approval to post it on the platform. There's lots of information. I'm not going to read it. It's all posted in, you know, in this slide. But you know, there's not a lot of requirements. You can be any grade to post. Now, sometimes, or to apply for an opportunity, Sometimes an opportunity might be looking for a certain grade level, but there's no limit. So even though it says anywhere from an hour to a full-time detail, when we're talking about experiential learning for mentors and mentees, they're probably shorter term and not in the detail opportunity. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks so much. So now we're gonna go right into the discussion. Wrong button, but we're still connected. Okay, so we're going to start off talking about starting a program, and I've seen a lot of comments and questions come in the chat. So we're going to get into those details. So first, we're going to start out how did all these programs start, and what were their lessons learned and successful strategies. I'm going to start off with Brian first. Your agency focused program has been around for a number of years now. What kind of business case did you make for the program when you were first proposing the program to get leadership buy-in?
Well, in some respects, Kim, the organization I work for, the Office of the Administrator, they had a quality of work life initiative, and they identified mentoring as one of the major improvements they needed to make in their organization. I actually came over on a detail, my first detail ever, to the Office of the Administrator from the Office of Water, perfectly content in the Office of Water. But I then designed the mentoring program based upon what I had known. I had done earlier programs in the agency, but the challenge was sustaining it over time. Being a training coordinator and an OD specialist, I have a lot of other responsibilities and had them then, and no way could I, on my own, over a period of time, manage the program or get others to manage with me. So I partnered with WICA, John Reynolds, the Office of Enforcement and Compliance Assurance, and we just hit it off in the beginning, clicked. We had similar needs in our respective organizations. Senior management was motivated to do something, but we had to educate them on what it is you needed to do to have a successful program. John and I went over to OPM. There was a 5-person panel presentation on successful mentoring programs in the federal government. And they kept mentioning the training, having an outside vendor, and they mentioned the vendor that we ended up using, the Training Connection. And so our journey began. We worked together. The first round, it was just his organization, John's organization, and mine. Maybe we had 30 part matches. It was kind of small, but then it gradually grew. The next round, we had 4 offices, Office of Water and some other office joined us. Then the round after that, 6 offices. It kept on expanding. We kept on making the business case that if you get people engaged in mentoring and that we all kind of buy into the fact that today's workplace relationships must be healthy and smart. And establishing a mentoring culture is a key to organizational health because of its power to enhance personal connections. It has tremendous power enhancing connections and collaboration across the agency. And we also wanted to maintain organizational vitality. And given that we were the Office of the Administrator, we wanted to be a model office to the rest of the agency. And that motivated us to keep going. And it was just in John's nature, my nature, to be successful partners with others and work with the program coordinators. And so every round, and now we're in the 8th round, we've expanded the program. We've included green interns. We've included regional offices. We had 3 regional offices. Now we have 6. And next round, round 9, we may well have all 10. It is a success story within the agency. It has, the agency had retention issues that we were not keeping employees beyond 1 or 2 years. And if we kept them for 3 years, they would stay with the agency, but they would go off to something else. The mentoring program has been a retention tool, has been an onboarding tool, has been a tool that has allowed our senior leaders and natural leaders in the agency to give back. We've attracted the best of the best. And so right now, frankly, we're in a position where we don't have to make the business case. The business case has been made, and we're just expanding it with people becoming more aware of it throughout the agency. So we're very excited about the momentum we've created and the support we've created and the amount of endorsements we're getting from others. It's a winning formula, and we've got a great vet relationship with the vendor, and that makes all the difference in the world.
Thanks so much. And there are a lot of questions that are coming in. We will try to get to all of them. I know we're pretty behind schedule due to the technical issues in the last seminar. So we will try to be a little quicker in some of our questions, and we'll try, if we don't get to all the questions, I'll make sure that they're answered in the end. I wanted to ask both Natalie and Beth, and also Laniera, your programs both had pilot programs. And I just wanted to see, what was the advantage of including the pilot program? What did you gain from that? Start off with Natalie.
Yeah. So for the user experience design professional program that is relatively new, we started out with a much smaller pilot program, ran that, and we were able to, I have to give thanks to our program team. Again, everything's volunteer. What we did is we used that pilot program to create the documents and the communication templates, and also to give feedback. So we worked together as a program team to start the documents that we'd use in the program, the communications. We ran the program. So it took a lot to get it started. But now in our second session, we've gone back to those program templates and are reusing them and improving them. And then with our pilot session, we asked for a lot of feedback along the way with virtual meetings. And then we did a more extensive survey at the end. And then we compiled results, analyzed the results, and then had a virtual meeting with all the participants to go through the results so that we could get the qualitative feedback as much as we had the quantitative feedback. So using the pilot program was really, really successful for us.
That's fantastic. And Laniera?
I'll just add that when you identify a program as a pilot, it really helps to set the expectations for the participants, because they understand that it's a collaboration. And so, like Natalie mentioned, all the feedback that you're asking them to provide, especially with the ICSP mentoring program, they understood that we were working collaboratively to develop this program to pull things together. So the participants were more open to all those things that we were asking of them.
And Maureen, I just wanted to say your program's been around for a really long time. You said 20 years. So what were your biggest lessons learned and successful strategies when your program was started?
So I believe a good strategy is having the end in mind. If you're about to create a new mentoring program, have some goals set at the beginning. What outcome are you looking for? Is it for professional growth? Career growth? Are you going to be matching peer-to-peer or skill sets? Will it be situational or informal only? Also include evaluations and surveys so that you know what your audience is. Send out surveys beforehand. What is your audience looking for? Thank you.
Thank you. So that leads very well to thinking about the goals for the program and setting up a programmatic performance plan. Just thinking, so Brian, your program's also been around for a while. What were some goals that you set, and what were meaningful metrics that you matched with those goals to be able to see if you were reaching success? Brian, are you unmuted? Just checking.
Yes, I'm sorry, were you asking me the question?
Yeah, so I was asking you the question. So with your programs, you've been around for a while, just wondering about your programmatic performance plan and what kind of metrics you use to track your goals, and what goals did you initially set to track the success of your program?
Well, fortunately, the Training Connection has a process for evaluation, and 90 days into the 9-month round, a short evaluation is done with the mentees and mentors providing some input on their match. So that's a way for us to ensure quality control and make sure the matches are getting off on the right foot. the mentoring action plans are being filled out, the mentoring agreement forms have been agreed to, that sort of stuff. And then at the midpoint, we do a very extensive evaluation as well. And then at the end of the program. And so we make course corrections along the way, sometimes adding more programs for mentees only or for mentors only. Doing the virtual is something we adjusted to just last year. Before that, we were a mix of live sessions in headquarters and then the virtual sessions for everybody across the country. So the challenge has been to convey to others the value of the program. And the evaluation, it's an 89-page report, the midpoint we got last week, and it covers everything you might think about in terms of the value that a mentoring program can bring. Helps the individual improve their current performance in their current job. It allows them to extend their skills and responsibilities or expand their skills and responsibilities for future assignments and responsibilities. They can learn more about the rest of the organization. Often our mentors say they think they've learned more than the mentee because they're interacting with people who are outside of their home office. 95% of our matches are made with people outside of their office that they work in. So we're definitely getting people to learn from one another and to support one another. And those things are included in our evaluation. The mentees and mentors can make comments, and all those comments are provided in the report. It's a very, very thorough approach to managing the program, and it has been very instrumental in our continued success.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask John, there have been a bunch of questions about how did you procure the mentoring connection? And did you have to go through some kind of FedRAMP certified procedure, or what was the process of procuring the mentoring connection?
Okay, I'll tell you. And this goes to Wendy, because I see she's at GSA. We actually went through the GSA schedule and pulled up the mentoring vendors that had already been cleared through the GSA schedule. So we got the vendors that did this actual type of work. We did a best
Sorry, John.
We just went to GSA to streamline the process. So if she's interested in using the training connection or looking into vendors like the training connection, I would recommend she go through GSA schedule, because it will clear a lot of the hurdles that she would have to jump.
That's very helpful. Thank you. And your audio was breaking up a lot. So if there's anything you can do to help with the bandwidth, maybe disconnecting from VPN would be great. Thanks so much. I wanted to ask we're talking about, and I'm going to go ahead and just mute to cut down on some audio feedback. For those of you who do manage mentoring programs, what metrics have you found to be most meaningful? So for those in the audience, for those of you who manage mentoring programs, what metrics have you found to be most meaningful and knowing that your program is successful? And we talked about some things like whether the match is successful and some other things like that. So we're getting some answers here. Great, and so looks like we have more questions. Lots of folks with lots of questions. One other question, so increased professional certifications completed, that's fantastic. So looking at what's happening with the mentees, time spent with the mentor, matching success, diversity across grades, participation from regions, these are fantastic. So this is really helpful. For those of you who have started or have thought about starting a program and have hit a hurdle and decided that you just didn't know how to go further, what are some of the hurdles that you've hit with starting a mentoring program? Again, this is to the audience. just wondering, what are some hurdles? No funding, upper management buy-in. So, so that actually leads to the next question. So Laniera's program and Beth and Natalie, their programs are not funded. Can you talk about ways that you've started your program without funding? I'll start with Laniera first.
Absolutely. And I actually see Kathleen's question as well as far as an in-house program. So hopefully I can respond to both. So with the Interagency Mentoring Program, we're working across government agencies. And as you know, funding across government agencies is extremely difficult. So we intentionally structured our program so that it would be of no cost. And with that, we're using resources that we all have. When we first came together as a working group, we identified resources that one agency may have over another. For example, my agency, Bureau of Economic Analysis, we have a pre-existing mentoring program that we were able to leverage our program book and our training from. The Bureau of Labor Statistics provided our matching process that we use currently to this day. So it was all about pulling our resources together to figure out what was the best approach for our program, given that we don't have a budget. And even our internal Bureau of Economic Analysis mentoring program, we recently went to an internal program, and it's about your intentionality, making sure you have all the pieces in place to sustain a program, to provide the support that's necessary for the participants. Without all of those pieces in place internally, you will see areas of your program that may not be as successful as others. But when you ensure that you have all the support in place before you remove the funding or before you move forward without the funding, then you're able to see a more successful program. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you. Natalie and Beth, do you have any insights on how you got your program up and running without any funding?
We have a pretty active community in the user experience design professional community in the federal and state and local agencies. So ours is all volunteer. We have a very passionate group of about 6 program team members who work really to get well together, and we were able to develop a structure, find a rhythm, and most of us, since we volunteer, we're doing this either during our lunchtime or after work. I know that a lot of the program team and the mentors and the mentees see it as a career development activity. We do know that some of the mentors do put this on their in their performance plans. And so the leadership of the program team, again, we're using this as career builders as well. So, you know, again, all volunteer with just the passionate group of program team members. And we did have a larger group of program team members, but those that really decided that they couldn't make the commitment dropped out. But it's a group that works really well together. And actually we get to vent a lot together. So that's part of the benefit of working together as a volunteer group.
That's fantastic. And I just want to comment on, there were some questions about, you know, wouldn't it be great if there was some kind of way to connect all the folks who are trying to do mentoring programs and have the folks who are newer to mentoring programs be able to learn from folks that have been doing it for a while. And there is, when you complete your survey after this workshop is over, you will receive a question in the survey that asks if you're interested in joining a listserv about mentoring programs, if you would submit your email address. So please do complete the survey. And the plan is to start a listserv for mentoring programs after this workshop. So please do submit the survey information and add your email if you're interested in joining the email list about it. Looking at some of the hurdles that people identified, the audience identified in the chat, one of the hurdles is finding enough mentors to match with mentees. And so I just want to go on to the next topic is recruitment. So that's perfectly, I think that that there are lots of ways to recruit mentors and mentees, but Lisa Nelson is here with her expertise to talk about how one might be able to do that with USA Jobs Open Opportunities. Lisa, can you tell us a little bit more?
Yes, certainly. And I think a couple of things that came to mind as the previous discussion was going on, and I saw one of the questions from Kathleen. We have a program with the DHS, Department of Human Resources, a little group within DHS, and they have been running a mentoring program internally for their organization only on open opportunities for several years now. They post opportunities, and there's a way to check for your organization only when you create your mentoring opportunity. They do that, and it only shows to those people, and they apply right online. They are allowed to submit information that is from their profile. They can even pull information down from their USA Jobs account, because everything is integrated, that can be shown to the person that is looking for mentees. But in any event, they've had a very successful program. Their mentor program is really for their newer employees. So they post mostly job shadowing, spend a day, following someone, although that's probably a little less so in this days of COVID, but they'll have an hour phone call with a manager. They'll have all sorts of really interesting opportunities. The other way that you can get mentors for your programs, we had a great opportunity posted by a gentleman who worked for the Department of Justice. And he had an office that he wanted to, his office was working on a big problem, and he wanted them to start working in a different way and looking at the product, how they do the program in a more agile way. And so what he did was he put an opportunity out looking for people that were skilled in agile project management. And he got quite a number of people, and he paired each one of those people up with someone in his office, and they set up an amount of time. They would connect together once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever worked on their schedule, and talk it through. This was a great experience. So it's a little different, again, than your more formal mentoring problems. It's more on a task-specific basis, but there are lots of ways you can use open opportunities for recruitment. And I'll just keep it short, Kim, since I know we're running late.
No, that's great. Thank you so much, Lisa. Brian, when PA is recruiting, how do they get the word out? Are there any kinds of activities that you do or announcements that you run? How do you get the word out to try to recruit more mentors and mentees?
Well, in addition to sending out the memos concurrently, as we do, we have open houses and information sessions available virtually for everyone who might be interested, because some of our offices fund 50 slots, other offices fund 10, 12 slots. So we need to get a gauge in terms of the level of interest within the organization that is offering the program or that are participating in the program. So depending on the need to get applicants, we might adjust and do different things. Each office we do provide open houses for everybody, for all offices. We do provide information sessions for all offices. We do provide information about how to apply for the program, etc., for all offices. But some offices might choose to do a little bit more to make it more important for them to get the word out to their prospective participants. In the Office of the Administrator, we have funded always more slots than we have filled. It's just the nature of the Office of the Administrator, 400 employees, 75% are GS 13s, 14s, and 15s. So they're already maybe participating as a mentor, but they don't necessarily think that they need a mentee. I think that they need to serve as a mentee to have a mentor. So depending on the needs, but we do a concerted effort together across the way. We do written material and oral material, and we never have a problem of filling the number of slots. This year we have our largest program. It's over 200 matches, and over 450 slots were funded. We didn't fill up all those slots, but we will as we go forward in the future.
Thank you, Brian. And just wondering, how do you know if the number of mentors you've recruited is the critical mass that you need for your agency or program? This actually is open for any of you, but Brian, since you were just talking, I'll direct it at you first. How do you know when you've recruited enough mentors to make it work?
Well, this is where in the application process, we ask all the the people who are interested in joining that that round of the mentoring program to let the program coordinator know if they want to serve as a mentor and as a mentee. So each program coordinator monitors the number of people expressing an interest. So it may be that we want to have ideally, 25 mentees, 25 mentors from one organization, 12 mentees, 12 mentors from another organization. But it may end up being 14 mentees and 7 mentors from an organization. We used to call ourselves the Leaders and Learners Collaborative Mentoring Program because that was a hallmark of our success. We would collaborate with one another. If one program was underfunded, another program was overfunded, we would blend it all together, part of the EPA One EPA initiative. So we would monitor at the program coordinator level the issues associated with balance and what we needed to do in order to get more mentors. Now what we have, because of the reputation we have, is that we attract easily the mentees and the mentors. The challenge sometimes, and certainly over the last couple of years, where business has not been usual for EPA and for other federal agencies, furlough, shutdown, pandemic, challenges aplenty for the, and EPA is funded at $1989. We're not swimming with money, and we haven't been. So we have to do more with less, and people are getting so much value out of this program for $470 per slot that it's moving along very nicely, and we try to just honor the fact that people want to grow and learn this way. Mentoring is one of the top ways adults learn from one another in the workplace, and we want people to grow and develop. We want them to see how they have meaningful work and how they can be more meaningful to the agency, et cetera.
Thanks so much. And we're talking a lot about different factors for matching and the information that we're tracking for metrics. And this lends us to thinking about, what are the tools that you use to track all of this? So our next topic is developing a database. And some folks have wondered, where's the information on the slides? They're intentionally blank, so don't worry, your Zoom is not malfunctioning and they're intentionally blank. So developing a database, we have a couple of programs that don't have funding and programs that are funded. So just wanted to first start off, if you don't have funding, how are ways that you're tracking the information you need to track to match the mentees and the mentors and track your data? And Laniera, I'll start with you. What tool do you use to track your information? What kind of database do you use?
So we actually use OMB Max since we are connected through the Interagency Council on Statistical Policy. Our page is a subset of theirs, and we manage all of our data and information there. With the mentoring program, we actually transition leadership annually, and with that transition comes a slew of information. So in order to ensure that that transition is seamless, we'll share information via email, but we make sure that we have some core information in OMB Max just to ensure that whatever happens, the program can continue to function with the information that we have at our disposal.
Great. Beth and Natalie, do you have anything to add to that?
Yes, we have a survey, and the data that people fill out goes to a Google spreadsheet, and then we use that for matching the mentors and the mentees, and that's the extent of the database that we have. It's just the facets for matching.
And then I know we've already talked a lot about the mentoring connection, but Brian, if you want to give a little bit of information of what types of information does the mentoring connection track? So what is your database like? What's in your database?
Well, they track some diversity data. They also the grade level, obviously, of the individual, the location. We do have an annual requirement in the agency, as other federal agencies do, to complete the FEORP report, the Federal Employee Opportunity Recruitment Program report. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, that's done every year. And because of us having the largest formal mentoring program in the agency by far, the agency uses the data that we are able to collect through the training connection and through the mentoring connection to include in the report that they send to OPM. And So that's very important data for the agency, and it's data that we can provide because of the mentoring connection. We also, all the information that participants need in terms of webcasts they might have missed, or recordings that they might have missed, of the training sessions that we offered, the information about the DISC assessments and the other assessments we offer, all available on the online library. It sort of is, it enables us as program coordinators to not worry about or not be entangled in the information. We just simply send a note to the training connection, and they follow up with the mentee or the mentor who might need to change their supervisor's name. So all that can be done online. They technically know how to do that, but they ask us. So it allows us to function effectively with a minimal, the least amount of FTE being devoted to the formal program. I, as the national program manager, have maybe 20% of my time devoted to the mentoring program. That isn't that much. When we were doing it on our own and at much smaller scale, 40%, 50% of our time was spent on the program. And that couldn't be sustained over time. So it's worked out well. Without the mentoring connection, we couldn't be functioning.
And Brian, can I add this as well? It also enables us to where when we have matches that have problems, the system identifies that, it collects the data that there is a problem, and it bubbles up to one of the coordinators, and we'll determine, is it an issue with the mentors, an issue with the mentee? The system identifies that, and
Sorry, your audio is breaking up.
To complete like a mentoring action plan.
Your audio is really breaking up. Maybe if you your video, that might help a little bit. So if you turn off your video, it might help your bandwidth a bit.
Okay, how about now?
That's better, yep.
Okay, so it also, like, we require a mentoring action plan. So what we found is 90% of the time when we have an issue with a mentee-mentor match, we can look right at the data from that matching plan. And if they haven't done a mentoring matching plan, of course, it may not be successful because you haven't managed the expectations up front. So we get that kind of data too, that's real time, that allows us to deal with situations before they come to a head.
That's really helpful. Thank you, John. Now we're moving into matching. So we have talked about the database. We're starting to talk about what makes a successful match. And there was a question in the chat about, are there any programs that help you with matching? And I saw that Lisa had an answer to that. Is there anything that's part of USA Job Open Opportunities that helps folks make a match?
We do. We have a new process that we just finished implementing in February. One of the things, it matches the employees' profiles, the skills that they list in their profile, to skills that are listed on the opportunities. We ask both the individuals, when they get their profile up and running, when they've created an account, to put their skills in it. It can be beyond the skills that they're currently using in their job. It could be from a job before. And we also ask them to list things that they're interested in learning about. And then, of course, all the opportunities, one of the requirements when they're posted is that you need to have the skills that are required, or the skills that people will learn, posted into the opportunity itself. And the tool matches. It's a great, it shows good, better, and best opportunities that match your profile when you log in. Yeah.
Thank you. Maureen, what kinds of things are used by the iMentor program at State Department to help match folks, and what kind of system do you use to track that?
We use an in-house SharePoint site that was built by our web team. And so all the information is collected in that SharePoint site that allows us to do the matching. And as similar to Lisa, on our application, we ask for the applicant, mentor, and mentee to give us at least 5 to 7 sentences on what they're looking for when it comes to the mentee, and then for the mentor, what they have to offer.
That's great. Are there any other things like career goals or GS levels or other types of experience or skills that they have that you find are helpful in matching?
Absolutely. Yes. In terms of the mentee, they will let us know possibly what their goals are within the next year or two, where they're looking to increase their career development. And so we use that as a baseline to actually do that matching. For instance, I always like to give this example. If a mentee is looking to be a better speaker, and so we will look for that mentor that has that type of experience to be able to share with that mentee. And so other things that we look for is the office that a mentee may possibly want to get some information on. You know, I had an incident one time where a mentee was matched with a mentor that he felt he wanted to be in that particular office. But when he learned more about that office, he found out from that mentor that that was not the career direction that he would decide to go into. So just an example, so it's good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, I know some of you use some events that help you with matching as well. In addition to filling out the forms, there are some additional events that you use. And Laniera, does your group use any events?
Thanks, Kim. Yes, we actually do. We start our program, like others have mentioned, with an application of sorts to get more information on our program participants, including, like Brian mentioned, the competencies that the mentor has to offer and the competencies the mentee is looking to build. From there, we do some information sessions, and I mentioned this in the chat to Ed, but we manage the expectations about, we have to be intentional about managing the expectations on being able to take a new job at a different agency. With it being an interagency program, we are very explicit that the purpose of the program is not to get you to another statistical agency. The purpose of the program is to help your professional development in the statistical field. We don't share data, we don't do work projects together, but it's really to develop you professionally in the statistical field. During our kickoff event, we do our matching process through speed mentoring. So the first half of the day is committed to speed mentoring, where each of the mentors has a topic that they'll speak on, and we group the mentors together based on their topic. So usually there's about 4 groups of mentors, and we split the mentees equally as well. So they can hear from all the mentors on that specific topic. The mentees in advance receive the profile for the available mentors with guidance to look at their profiles with an eye towards who would meet your professional development goals based on your profile. During the process, the speed mentoring process, they're asked to continue to keep that in mind, make notes about the mentors that they're hearing from, ask questions, engage with the mentors, so they can self-evaluate who may be a good match for them in the program. From there, since we've gone virtual, we use a survey to collect their preferences with the speed mentoring process, and we make the best possible matches based on the profiles that we receive in advance from the participants. We review those as well, and the preferences for the mentors and for the mentees.
That's great. Lindsey and Will, I know your program, you both serve as mentees, and your program has the speed mentoring as well as a way of helping with matching. What are the advantages that you've seen for the speed mentoring opportunity and an event?
Yeah, thank you, Kim. It's always great to have an idea about what someone is looking for, their attributes, et cetera, on paper, but to be able to actually speak with that person, to get to know them a little bit more, granted in a short period of time, is even more helpful. And so speed mentoring has been great for that. I was able to get through several interactions within, again, a quick period of time, but just enough time to get a better feel for what that person is looking for and how I could potentially help. And I'm now mentoring someone because of meeting them through that speed mentoring process, and it's been an ideal match thus far.
Great to hear. Will, do you have anything to add?
I think Lindsey covered most of it. I also met my mentor through the speed mentoring program. And one nice thing about the training connection, which we use, is it actually will save the conversations. If you mark that someone is a good match, it will save that. So you have it on record who are the best matches for you outside of the evaluations that are done, which was extremely successful and helpful for me personally.
That's great. We're going to move on to our next topic, which is setting expectations. And I just want to pause. Actually, there was a question from the audience regarding speed mentoring. Any experience in doing that virtually via a webinar platform, such as Zoom or maybe MS Teams? Anyone try speed mentoring virtually?
This is Laniera. For the ICSP mentoring program, we actually did speed mentoring virtually twice. Last year, we were set to launch the day before everyone was sent home, and we pivoted, as everyone says, very quickly to still continue the program in a virtual setting. But this year, we had the advanced awareness, and we did it much more proficiently. We allowed the mentors to speak to everyone at the same time, because what we found is while our program goal is to make you more proficient professionally from the statistical community, but we also want to enhance those connections. So allowing the other mentors to hear from their peers really helps to enhance those connections. And we did it virtually. We still kept the group small. So we have 4 topics and 3 mentees this year per topic. But it really allows that cross collaboration that we're looking for. We did it via WebEx, and we discussed the idea of doing breakout rooms, but we really wanted the other mentors to hear from their peers as well.
And Laniera, because your program is a cross-agency skill-focused program, how did you reach those mentees and mentors initially?
We rely heavily on our work group members. They are invaluable to us, actually. They are charged with getting the word out at their agencies. We work directly with the agency leadership as well to let them know, keep them informed throughout the entire process. But our work group members really do the groundwork, reaching out to prior participants to let them know that the program is launching, and if they're interested in participating as a mentor in the next iteration of the program. They also do all of our recruitment and marketing from their agency level. We have some standard language that we provide them just to ensure that everything is communicated from the same level, and from there, our work group members do the legwork, and we cannot do it without them.
Great. Beth and Natalie, your program also is cross-agency. How did you go about finding your folks and getting the word out?
We have a listserv that has, I believe, like over 10,000 members right now. So we use the listserv to recruit. And then we also have communications throughout the sessions to really promote the great work that these mentorship pairs are doing. So we do have reminder emails that we've kicked off a session, it's going well, at like a midterm communication, and then at the end of the session communication. So we want to make sure that people understand that the mentorship program is active, and to kind of put it in their mind. And then we send communications prior to the participation, the surveys going out for the application. And we give them reminder emails for applying. So we hope that, you know, being active in our community, which is quite large, is one way to drive participation and hopefully drive mentors. And we try to shape communication towards the value of being a mentor.
And how do you draw people to your listserv? So how do they get your listserv to sign up?
It's digital.gov.
Digital.gov. Okay.
Yeah, so we're one of the communities there. And it's mainly word of mouth. Also, there's connections. We also, I should say that we also use other media platforms like LinkedIn to communicate the program. And so it's mainly word of mouth, but digital.gov is a big driver to the listserv.
Great. And so now, oh, sorry.
I just wanted to share also, when we do those communications, we share our guidelines book so that people know what they're getting into. And we also have an informational meeting so that people know and they can have their questions answered.
And that's a perfect segue into the next topic. So setting expectations. So you've started the program, you've gotten leadership buy-in, you've developed some SOPs and documents for the mentoring program and the mentoring agreement. You've recruited folks and matched them. And how do you set expectations at the beginning? And I just want to shout out to the audience now and just see, for those of you that have started a program, what was your experience with the mentors and mentees' expectations at the beginning? So just seeing from the audience, what have you found the mentors and mentees' expectations to be, and how did you set them? Just giving a second for the audience to respond to that. And while we're starting, I know we've talked about the mentor-mentee agreement, and Brian, you had mentioned that. What are the components of the mentor-mentee agreement?
Basically what the goals are of the mentee, and how they would want the mentor to support them, how often we might meet together. It's mentee driven, so the mentee does the initial draft online and then can show it to the mentor. The mentor has no ability to go in there and make adjustments to it. Mentee has to make any of the changes. It's a mentee document, mentee developed document that serves as the game plan for moving forward throughout the rest of the round. So it's short-term goals, long-term goals. They might have an individual development plan. It kind of resembles the development plan, but it's specifically targeted to what the mentee wants to get out of the partnership and what the mentee wants to concentrate on, related to, again, the 12 competencies and skills that they identified in the application form. And Will, might you have something else to say as an active mentee in the program?
I think you pretty much covered it. Can't think of anything else off the top of my head.
Thanks so much. So at the beginning of the day today, we talked about a lot of different assessments that you can use to figure out where your strengths are and also where your developmental opportunities may lie. And I know that Brian and his team have talked about how DISC and Clifton Strengths can also help their mentees identify their strengths and growth opportunities as well. So their action plan and their agreement have really been helpful in setting expectations. We talked a lot about metrics in the beginning for the program. We talked about collecting this with sometimes surveys to the mentors and mentees. And we're going to go on now to sustaining the program. So thinking about the programmatic performance measures we talked about earlier, such as success with matching and feedback from the mentors and mentees. But there are some other things other than surveys that some folks have used in evaluating. But I think just to try to get at what kind of support do you offer the mentors, and just seeing, Maureen, I'll direct this question to you. Is there any way that you recognize the mentors and your program and continue to support them?
Yes, thank you, Kim. So what we have found is, as far as the intrinsic motivation for the mentors, we periodically do a mentor award ceremony. And so what that involves is getting essays from the mentees that have participated in the program. And this is such a rewarding experience for the mentors. And so we do one mentor that is a champion, and then we do maybe 5 other mentors that are outstanding. And so we read those essays from the mentees, and then we have this big elaborate ceremony for the mentors. And they are so appreciative at that particular ceremony. And one of the mentors, when we first did it, back in, I believe it was in 2017, I'm not sure of the right date, but he had said that that was one of the most important awards that he had ever received. And I think that is a great testament to appreciate the mentors, because they're volunteering their time in addition to their job duties. And so always find a way, when I'm talking to persons that wanting to start a mentoring program, always find a way to appreciate your mentors, because they are the backbone of your program. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And there's someone from the audience who also added that they do a mentoring graduation during National Mentoring Month in January. So another way to bring attention to the program. I know that there are lots of metrics that are being tracked, and you've talked about sharing those metrics with the mentors and mentees. And Beth and Natalie, you talked about doing your pilot program and then changing course along the way. If you want to talk a little bit about that, of how that continuous improvement has helped to sustain your program. Natalie?
Yeah, I'll start with, we had the expectation that mentees were going to spend more time than mentors. And so during our feedback, our survey, we actually found out that the mentors in our pilot program were spending more time than mentees. And so we knew we had to correct that. So we redirected, or we changed the way we communicated, and we make sure that the mentees, it was clear that a lot of this was their responsibility to initiate and not to rely on the mentor as much to drive the program and what they needed forward. So we had to shift in that way. We also had feedback that the group wanted more interactions virtually now, as a mentor group, as a mentee group, and then as a mixed pair group, in order to extend their networking. So we adjusted the session to accommodate those needs as well.
And with your mentee only groups and mentor only groups, were you able to get feedback then live from the 2 groups?
Yes, we get a live feedback, and then something that happens as well is, especially with a mentor group, someone discussed an issue they were having with their mentor, in the sense of, how would you recommend for the mentee to go about addressing this or solving this? And then as a community, we helped that mentor have some suggestions and some approaches for their mentee. So that was very wonderful. With the mentees, it's more or less, they really want to learn what other people are doing. So it's nice to have sessions with those different types of groups separately, and not everyone together, to allow them to form their own community.
That's fantastic. So the last piece we're going to talk about here is evaluating your program. So you've already started to speak to this. And just wanted to see, just as far as the tools that you have and the information that you've collected, what are ways that you share this information with leadership and continue to get buy-in? And I'll see whoever leans forward if you'd like to take that question. I'm seeing Brian.
Well, part of the responsibilities of senior leaders is to build a coalition across the agency, to lead change, lead people. So, and frankly, we've had senior executives say to other senior executives, it is the best run career development program that they've seen in the agency because it works. And we have a track record that the SESers can get behind. In fact, our first line advisory group is planning to brief over the next couple of months the Executive Management Council and the agency with the idea of that all first line supervisors participate in the mentoring program, especially those who are new supervisors. They need to have a mentor as well. So we're looking at building a partnership with the first line supervisors and the executives, and that will help because John and I and the others will not be around all the forever, and we'll need to have the program be considered rather than a nice thing to do, which it is, but a necessary thing to do for succession planning, for everything. And right now, the agency, we don't have a learning culture across the agency, so we're swimming up against that challenge, and we're trying to make the most that we can and get as many supporters as we can. And so people know that we're participating in this, and that's helping to get the word around the agency about how valuable the program can be and how it can be viewed across the federal government.
Thanks so much.
Can I also add something?
Please.
One of the things too, when Brian and I first built this program, we didn't want to have to defend or beg for funding. So one of the things that we've developed, when we get these reports, basically all we really need is the time in the room. The report speaks for itself. It shows you all the data you need to make a good decision, a good business decision. And at $470 for 9 months, we really have never had a problem. And what they get in that report, they don't get what Brian thinks, what I think. They actually get responses from supervisors, mentors, and mentees on how the program has affected them. So it's been very critical in us making mentoring stronger culturally within the EPA, and it's getting stronger than it was earlier. We would like to see it more so in the fabric, but it's getting there.
Thank you very much, John. Lisa, just one last question for you. Just wondering, in open opportunities, is there a way for mentees to give feedbacks to mentors and vice versa in open opportunities?
Well, there's not directly on the platform itself that would be, I mean, the connection would be really just a one-on-one discussion. Now, we try to do a lot of follow-up and do stories on great successes and the results that we put out in our newsletter. But there is nothing that's like a formal for that.
Thank you so much. So just one round of any general successful strategies before. I know we're running a little bit late. I'll start off with Beth to see any general successful strategies you'd like to share about running, starting, evaluating, etc. mentoring program.
I would say setting expectations and getting frequent feedback are really key, and sharing appreciation for the mentors who really run the program, and emphasizing with the mentors that they have responsibility to meet their objectives.
Thank you. Maureen, do you have anything to add?
I just wanted to add that we have the greatest mentors at the Department of State. So I just wanted to give them kudos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laniera, any successful strategies to add?
I would say the communication piece, being open to hearing from the mentees if the relationship is not a good match, and mentors for that matter, and really taking that information to heart, openly communicating, and be open to have your participants engage with you so they feel comfortable sharing what needs to be shared.
Fantastic. And EPA folks, if you just have a one additional short successful strategy to add.
Making it simple. Go ahead.
Aside from everything that they've just said, I think it's critical that, especially with us, that all the offices have mentoring coordinators, LMP coordinators, which are critical to, well, just recruiting, bringing the right people in, explaining the program, and also running it as it goes along with the training connection. And Brian is a great leader for the team, so kudos to him.
Thanks so much, Will.
I would just add, thank you, Will, that make the program that is rather complex and complicated very, very simple. And so every year we start with an action plan and timeline. We have it all laid out. We know what's happening in March. We know what's happening in May. We know what needs to be done with the partnerships, bringing them together in November. So we have it all laid out. And we just rinse and repeat. We have made it very straightforward and easy to grasp. And so the participants just concentrate on what they need to concentrate, which is building a better EPA.
Great, thank you. John, any quick last successful strategy? And you're on mute if you're talking. Did I get everybody? I think I went around to everybody. Okay, so the panel summary, in case you weren't all taking notes, a lot of the information you just heard is actually summarized in the slides that follow. So the points from starting a program are here about learning from others, having a business case, getting leadership buy-in, having a pilot program to start off, developing standard operating procedures and programmatic materials, including diversity and inclusion initiatives. And I just note that the first go around may take a little bit longer than others. We talked about pragmatic performance plans and what metrics are most meaningful to track. Some of these are listed here. How to plan for your data collection, strategies for recruiting through open opportunities, holding kickoff events, communicate, having publicity and messaging, creating dissemination routes through your Chicos or newsletters, having program champions. Don't underestimate the power of word of mouth. Having program coordinators, as Will noted, monitor the mentee mentor numbers and keep them balanced, determine characteristics that are most important in the mentors that you have. Developing a database, you can have something that is very simple and with low expense, such as using Excel or some other spreadsheet program and saving it somewhere that's commonly accessible, such as OMB Max, or more complex programs such as EPA's online tool, the Mentoring Connection that they spoke about today. If resources are available, the database can be comprehensive and include other tools as well. We talked about all the different fields for matching, the different information about the mentees and mentors and what their goals are. We also talked about prioritizing and ranking the mentees' interests and their goals and different aspirations they might have. In addition to the surveys, requesting this information, we talked about how you can hold events such as flash and speed mentoring events and open houses. Personal connection and personality is important in addition to all the other pieces that you collect during the surveys. We talked about open opportunities, having an artificial intelligence feature that helps you with matching, and also the mentoring connection has a feature as well. So setting expectations, we talked about all the different forms that were developed in the beginning with the action plan and the agreement and the time frame and the goals being set, any types of training or other opportunities laid out in the plan. Emphasize the sharing of goals and the mentee driving the scheduling and communicating their needs, and the way that you can use self-assessment tools to identify strengths and growth opportunities. We talked about the importance of sustaining the program and thinking about how you're going to continue to recruit mentors and make mentees aware of the program, to support the mentors with training and also mentees with training as well, to host different Energizer events at the beginning, possibly at the middle and at the end as well. Make sure that you're recognizing and awarding your mentors as well. Encouraging mentees to eventually serve as mentors, and also to have them share the success of the program with others. For evaluating, we talked about taking the time to look at those metrics and really see where you can have continuous improvement, where you might want to make some adjustments to continue to excel even further than you'd hoped for before. So you can do short-term check-ins with data, some as early as 90 days, a midpoint in the process, and then longer term as well. So again, this information can be shared with the program coordinators and to everyone who's involved with the program in general. The goals and targets for continual improvement. General best practices, we talked about the mentor agreement, the action plan being important, checking in early and regularly in the relationship and course correcting, meeting frequency, allowing flexibility in case people do drop out and aren't good matches. Give it a little bit of time just in case. Emphasize communication, collaboration, and responsiveness between the mentee, mentors, program coordinators, agency leadership, and if applicable, the vendors. So thanks everyone.